Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Nom's Lab, the place where we talk about all of the unspoken rules that shape our everyday life. I'm your host, Angela Olua Ayodele. Today, we're going to be talking about something that applies to every one of us, right? It's about immunization. And let's just make this sit, right? Sometimes here's something that don't make sense to me. A mother takes her baby for vaccines at 6 weeks. She goes again at 10 weeks, and then again she goes at 14 weeks. 3 trips, 3 rounds of needles, and then all of a sudden, nothing. Stops at 9 months. You don't see her anymore. Did you know that 3 million children in Nigeria start vaccines and don't finish it? And that number hasn't changed over the years. And so we ask ourselves, why didn't the mother go back? Is it that she forgot? Is it that she's lazy? Oh well, that's why we're here today. We'll hear a lot about that. And most times when you sit down with these women and really listen, what you hear is things about money, about permission, and about power, those things that they don't have control over. With me here today is Ernest Ezeogu and Mary Kuforiji, who are going to be doing justice to this. They're researchers who did a study on this. Welcome, Mary and Ernest. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, Angela.
Thank you, Angela. It's nice to be here with you.
Awesome. So before we get into the heavy stuff, right? Let's just make sure that everyone is on the same page. Most times when people hear vaccine, they think it's just take the vaccine one time and you're done and dusted, right? But can you break down this process simply for us? A baby is born in Nigeria, Ernest. What's supposed to happen vaccine-wise in the first year of the baby's life?
All right, thank you, Angela. According to Nigeria's immunization schedule, a baby is supposed to take the BCG vaccine, which is for tuberculosis, immediately that baby is born.
Okay.
And then right after that, the baby takes the first dose of the pentavalent vaccines.
Okay.
That's at
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Right after that, take the second dose of the pentavalent. That's at 6 weeks, and also the OPV vaccine. Then also at 14 weeks.
Yeah.
The child also supposed to take the third dose of the pentavalent and the OPV.
Okay.
Then there's a 6-month gap between that period and the next doses of vaccines, which happen at 9 months.
So what happens at that 9 months specifically? What vaccines are we talking about, and why do they matter so much?
Oh, at 9 months, we're talking about vaccines like the MCV1, MCV2, yellow fever. And this touchpoint is very important because if those vaccines are not taken at that touchpoint, we cannot attain herd immunity.
Okay.
And we need herd immunity so that everybody is safe. And as you know, measles is very contagious. Contagious. One person can infect at least 18 people.
Right.
So the population number of measles is very high.
Yeah, so just so you know, guys, MCV is measles. It's there. We have researchers in the house, so they tend to use this, abbreviations a lot. But it's something you said, measles is so contagious that one person can infect up to 18 others. I think it's crazy. Meaning you need 95% of people vaccinated to stop it from spreading. And Nigeria is at 60%. It's just so crazy. And here's what I don't get, right? Even mom already went 3 times. She clearly cares, right? She already did the hard part. And so maybe Mary, can you tell us what breaks down between that 3rd visit and the 9 months that she's supposed to come back for this measles vaccine?
Thanks, Angela. So what really transpires is that at this 9 months, this child is already strong. The child is playing with his friends and all. The child doesn't seem fragile as the child was at 3 months, at 14 weeks, at 6 weeks. So the mother feels, my child is healthy enough, my child is strong. Do I really need to take this child for the 9-month vaccine? So that assurance kind of lessen the motivation of the mother to take the child for the 9-month vaccine, and that's just a factor. There are still so many other factors like mother priority chores. The mother feels okay, she can focus on her chores now, she can focus on her business since the child doesn't seem fragile, for the 9-month vaccine, and so many other factors that kind of hinders the mother from taking the child for the 9 months. I believe in the conversation we'll speak on more more of these factors.
Okay, thank you very much. Ernest, do you have anything to add, to that?
Well, just to add, at that 9 months,
Yeah.
the possibility that the mother is already pregnant with another child, or another child she has given birth to another child is very high.
Yeah.
So she then transfers all of the attention to the newborn child, while trying to juggle all of the activities, all of household chores and other activities. So it becomes very tricky for her at that point.
All right, thank you. So what I'm hearing is a lot around mothers unpaid work that she has to do. In some cases, people who already have businesses and believing that their children are already grown. Are there some things you surfaced around agency, for instance, agency of the woman to actually make decisions for her child? For instance, the husband or the mother-in-law says, oh, no vaccine at 9 months. All the ones you have taken is enough, so you're not going anymore. Or cases where there were things like adverse effects following immunization, and they just didn't feel like it made sense to go. Did any of those come up in your research?
Oh, agency is a very huge factor in the child accessing vaccines, because as you know, in our context, the caregiver is largely responsible for the child, largely responsible for the vaccinations, largely responsible for taking care of the child. Most times what the father does is provide the resources, and the mother does all of the running around. So agency is a very huge factor. We see that in situations where the mother is able to afford to transport herself to the PAT, the chances that our child gets vaccination is very high. But when the mother is not able to afford that token to transport to the PAC, that child might miss the vaccination. So agency is a very key factor.
Okay. I just wanted to test my theory around some of the things that we also see more broadly in Nigeria. And I read through your report on the research that was done, and one thing struck me in terms of your methodology and how you try to understand why people didn't take up vaccines at 9 months. And maybe Mary, to you, one thing that I saw is you actually deployed women caregivers in the community as peer researchers. I'm not sure a lot of people do this. I know even though you had other people who were, but a bulk of your researchers were women. Why did you do that? Can you tell us about that?
Okay, thanks, Angela. So one of the approach we used was the human-centered design approach.
Okay.
So we did this because we believe these mothers, they can fit into the shoes of their fellow caregivers, right? Okay. So we said, okay, we can deploy peer researchers who are also mothers. They can, relate with these caregivers and know how to get this information from them, and also to balance it up for the head of household, because we also interviewed head of household. We had male peer researchers who also interviewed this head of household to get their own point of view, because we know that it's easy for them to relate as per the gender equity. Awesome.
So I'm guessing those conversations they had were very real, very quickly.
They were.
So maybe Ernest, we've heard a bit around why people don't take up vaccines at 9 months, the people you also used in the community to glean the information. So just wanting our audience to also understand now, right? Following what we heard on the field, can you paint a picture for us? You have a mother in one of your communities, right? A baby just turned 9 months. She knows that a vaccine is due. What does her morning look like? Essentially, if she's going to take the child to the clinic, like how far is she working? What is she carrying? What did she have to do before she left the house? Or what are those things that she typically needs to put in place to be able to take her child for vaccination?
All right. As you're all aware, our context, women are responsible for taking care of the household. Preparing food for the husband. Making sure that the children are ready for school.
Did you catch that? Before she can take her child for a life-saving vaccine, she first has to cook, clean, prepare the household, and make sure her husband's needs are met. That's not just a busy morning. That's a social norm that says our time and our child's health come second. And that's the norm at the root of everything we're about to discuss. I think that norm is way ingrained. If we start talking about that, we won't leave here today.
So she has to do all of those before heading out to the PAT. We found that in situations where she doesn't tick all those boxes and for the PAC, when the husband comes back, it might be He might be offended that his wife didn't prepare his food, or even boil his water to take his bath. So she has to tick all those boxes, make sure that the household is taken care of before she sets out on her journey. Now, while on her journey, hopefully the road to the PSC is good, because in situations where the road is not good or is not secure, she has to battle with insecurity. She has to, go through harsh weather conditions. Imagine a mother trekking 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers under the hot sun with her backing her child, just to get to a PHC is very arduous. Now she has to do all of those, get ready from the household. Sometimes even prepare the food for the baby, because she foresees that she's going to spend a lot of time at the hospital. At the PHC. So she has to prepare the baby's food, prepare clothing for the baby in case she needs to change for the baby, so all of that. Then she starts her journey to the PHC. Then she gets to the PHC. The first point of call is they would typically submit their vaccination cards. That's for those that have vaccination cards anyways. They will submit their vaccination cards, because it is through that card that the healthcare workers will know what vaccines she's coming for. Then when all the caregivers have submitted their vaccination cards, those cards are sorted into different categories. Those who have come for 3 months, those who have come for 6 months, and those who have come for 9 months. So all of those processes take time. Right? Then when that is done, sometimes it's on PHC, some caregivers have to pay a token, for the PHC. The health workers, they call it administrative charges for delivering the service. Hopefully she has that money. Sometimes if she doesn't have it, she's in a dilemma, because she might not be attended to. Now that's also one of the factors why most caregivers don't go, because when the caregiver doesn't have that money to pay at the point of service, she's discouraged. So let's assume she has that money to pay. She pays it. Now they are allowed to sit. Now they sit. The healthcare workers come and do the whole health talk. Give them health talk. Tell them how to take care of their babies. Just health, normal health talks. Then right after that, sometimes they can do morning prayer. They do all of those before the healthcare workers begin to attend to
vaccinate the child. Okay. You know what? When you were speaking, you said something about if she does have the money, and it just made me remember one of the things I saw in that report around where some of the women told the researchers that they can't go to the clinic because they don't have their husband's permission. It's what we continue to see in our community. And maybe just understanding the spectrum of, or the magnitude of that problem, Mary. Was that something we saw often from the research that we did? People needing permission to actually take their children. I mean, it's not only the woman's child in this case, so it's the man. The child is also the man. You cannot save the child. I said not the papa of the child. And he says, don't take my child for vaccination. I don't get it. How big of a problem is this though?
Okay, thanks once again, Angela. In some cases we saw that the man know the vaccine is important. But in some cases we realized that it was the fear of the AAFIs that was in that demand and made him hesitant for the child to be vaccinated. In a specific case, the child had a swollen hand and severe fever from the 3-month dose, and because of that, the head of house insisted that the mother don't take the child for that vaccination. In fact, she had to lie that she's going for a women's meeting for her to take that baby out. So she knew that the vaccine was very important. Imagine she didn't have the money to even carry out the vaccination and all, but she had that money. So she had to lie to the husband that she's going for a women's meeting.
Now she found a way, and you might hear that as a win. But pause for a second. A mother had to lie to protect her own child's health. When deception is the only path to doing the right thing, the system isn't working. The norm isn't working.
So in that case, it was the fear of AFI that in that demand and made him hesitant. I mean, it's reasonable because he didn't want the child to be
I mean,
hurt again.
I mean, I get it. The fear of my child is hard. But when you think about the consequences of not actually taking those vaccines, if you're well educated, you know that there are things that you can actually do to support the child. And I'm just even wondering now, in those cases where the man said no, what's it gonna happen? I know in this case now you talked about the woman, you know, having agency on her own, having the money to actually go to the hospital without getting the man's permission. But a lot of women out there don't have agency. They don't even have money. Like they are struggling, and so the man has said no. What happens? So in most cases, what did you see actually?
So in that instance, the woman does not go.
She doesn't.
End of discussion.
End of discussion.
So she's a dropout.
Wow.
We know that society is.
So we see that adds to the numbers of why we have a lot of dropout cases. Okay.
And we say that Nigeria is largely patriarchal. It is the man who makes decisions in the household most of the time. I mean, we saw an interesting situation in one of the locations where a woman did not ask for permission. And then she took the child to the PS and got the child vaccinated. When the husband came back and found out, he was livid. I think that is also as a result of some ingrained fear for vaccines. There are still those who fear vaccines. There are still those who they think vaccines are no good. You know, they rather take the local herbs.
Or spiritual covering. I mean, there's this particular water they take in one side of Kaduna because the study was done in Kaduna and Enugu.
Faith matters deeply in these communities, and we respect that completely. But what the data shows us is that spiritual practice and vaccination don't have to be in conflict. They can exist side by side. The question is whether children are also getting the medical protection they need, and too often they are not. I think the point we're making is very clear right now. It's not only about permission from what I've heard. Because in one of the cases, the woman had money. She was able to take the child for vaccination, and it looked like all well and good in that particular home. But it's not the case for every other person. I want to now go back to the clinic, right? From your research, right, I also actually read that sometimes women are scolded or shamed in terms of, say for instance, they bring in a child that is pretty malnourished. They get scolded and all that for, you know, the state of the child. Is this real? And can you talk about that a bit? Because I'm also wondering what that does for immunization or future immunization for children.
Yeah. Remember, we also spoke to some healthcare workers and we brought up this question. Why would you scold the mother for breaking her child, even if the child looking malnourished? And just what they gave was, they do it just to encourage the mother to do better. I mean, that was their response. They just do it so that the mother would do better. But yeah, we saw a few cases where that happened anyways. However, it does happen, right? And sometimes, due to the workload these healthcare workers have to do, sometimes they get easily irritated, and you know, sometimes they can speak to the caregivers harshly due to, you know, the workload that they have. So it does happen that they scold the mothers.
And in some cases is that the mother forgot the vaccination card, and without this vaccination card they can't actually do anything. Right? So the mother saying it's harsh, but really it's because they can't do anything without the card. So they are being told to go back, and they can't be vaccinated. The child can't be vaccinated.
So I think maybe as we begin to wind down, right, there's also something that struck me from your research, and that's beyond speaking to the mothers alone. You also spoke to the heads of the household, right? And in some cases it's the husband, in some cases it's the mother-in-law or some sort, right? When you sat down with them, often in these cases the husband, right, what did they say about the vaccination? Did they even know what vaccines that their child had gotten?
So, like I said earlier, in most families, it is the caregiver who is largely responsible for the vaccination. So it is the mother who knows the vaccines that are due and at what time it is due. In fact, in most cases, it is the mother who knows where she has kept the vaccination card. Right? So what this has showed us is, in targeting the caregivers with messaging, you also have to target the head of house, right? Because they are the ones who make the final decisions in the household. I mean, their words are law. Right? So we mustn't leave out the head of household.
Absolutely agreed. Absolutely, because I mean it's the reality that we live in. They make the utmost decision in the house, and we need to continue to carry them along. Mary, for some of the women that you spoke to, did they talk about some? I know earlier you mentioned some woman had funds and she was able to go for the vaccination, but were there like some common workarounds that we saw in a way that won't jeopardize the woman and the child?
Sadly, majority of them
had no workarounds.
Had to drop out because the interviews were in rural communities, right? So is what the man say is what stands.
Is law.
Yes. Right. So it's just so sad. Majority of them had to just give up the vaccination for the husband's power and let peace reign.
Let peace reign. Yeah. That phrase, let peace reign. If you're Nigerian, you've heard it 1,000 times. It sounds harmless, even wise sometimes. But what it really means here is that a mother is expected to absorb the cost of keeping the home peaceful, even when that cost is her child's health. That's not peace. That's the norm. And it's one we need to examine. I know, Ernest, she began to talk about like the male engagement and stuff that you did. And so beyond the homes, I know you also spoke to, commissioners, talked to community leaders, the religious leaders. Can one imam or one pastor change whether kids in a whole neighborhood can get vaccinated?
Oh, very well. Very well. I mean, one of the workarounds to that permission thing is bringing the traditional rulers and the religious rulers on board. Yeah. Because if the husband goes to, for example, his place of worship and he hears the imam or the pastor preaching the vaccine message, he's more likely to give in, right? So also engage the community leaders and the religious leaders. And also, we've seen success in situations where the vaccines are brought to place of worship. Right, so that it is there, so that the women can access it. So there's no that eliminates, to a minimum the issues with agency. So of course, that engagement with traditional leaders and religious leaders goes a long way to influence vaccination decisions. And there have been situations where the traditional leaders and religious leaders, they were not carried along with the vaccine message, and they discouraged the community from, accessing the sex.
Thank you, and I think that's important. And I'm also pretty excited about what the government is doing. A few days ago, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, they had like the national forum with traditional leaders and religious leaders in the country to, commit to moving things and turning things around in the health sector. And I think that's a really, really powerful place to begin. And I commend all of our traditional leaders and community leaders for the work that they're doing in trying to change some of these norms, and I think that's pretty exciting, and I'm looking forward to how much more they can continue to change some of these narratives. So in terms of moving forward now, I talked about something that I like that you guys did, which is speaking to the mothers in the community or even the community people to say, things we found, like how would you want this to change? Like hearing from their perspective, what should be done to address some of those gaps? What were some of those things you heard that they shared with you on the field? Mary, maybe you take a step and then Ernest can add to that.
So when we got this data and got these reasons why these mothers don't take their children for the 9-month vaccine, we came up with insights, and with these insights we now organized HCD workshop. So this HCD workshop, we came together with caregivers, head of households. Okay, we've seen the reason why you don't take your children for the vaccine. What do you think? So they gave us some of the solutions, things around intensifying community engagement, how we can leverage community leaders, to intensify awareness and all of that. Things around digitizing records, because some of these reasons why they are turned away is because of the record and documentation in the health facilities. So they gave us some of these solutions. We even went ahead to do prototype workshop where they kind of gave us low fidelity prototypes of things we can do to address the solution. But one thing I know stood out was this community intensification to intensify the usage of community leaders to create awareness in the, I know it needs to be able to also give more context to the solutions.
Yeah.
Yes. Also at the 9-month vaccine, at the 9-month touch point, mothers need to come back 2 times for the measles 1, then measles 2.
Yeah.
The measles 2 is more like a booster vaccine for measles 1 in case measles 1 fails, right? Now, one of the solutions that came up was, thankfully, it's already been implemented already with the measles rubella vaccine. Is to have a multiple dose vials, where if the woman can take multiple doses per time, she doesn't need to repeatedly come to the PAT, right? So thank God for the measles rubella vaccine.
Yeah.
Also, like Mary rightfully pointed out, digitizing our health records, that is very important, right? One of the challenges that we found was healthcare workers not being able to effectively track children who have dropped out.
Yeah.
They do not have that record. So that's also a problem. I mean, Mary has also said it, intensifying the vaccine messaging, not leaving the head of households, don't leave them, just carrying them along with the caregivers, carrying along the religious leaders and traditional leaders, really passing the message of, not just passing the message now, the correct messaging now about vaccines and what vaccines are necessary per time. Okay. And then what mothers need to do in cases of EFI, which is a major issue. When the children begin to have EFI, mothers sometimes begin to panic, and that creates some fear in them.
Okay. And just to also add that some of them also suggested making it compulsory for school enrollment. So making it so that if you don't have your vaccine complete, you can't enroll.
But I'm also going to ask you, right? This is the Norms Lab podcast. So the things around the gender stuff, things around permission, the money, the power dynamics, did the women share anything or easy ways they think can be done, or things that can be done to address those dynamics?
Okay. One would be, like I said earlier, kind of along in the process.
All right.
Secondly would be having the husbands, fully brought on board, having them support the process.
The process.
We see the situations, some situations that we saw on the field. What made it very easy for the mother is when the husband follows them to the health facility.
I want to sit with this for a moment. Everything my guests are saying makes sense. Engage the fathers, get community leaders on board, work with the system as it is. And yes, that's what needs to happen right now. But it is Norms Lab. So let me also say what the long-term goal should be. Not just getting fathers to say yes, but building a Nigeria where a mother doesn't need a gatekeeper to protect her child's health. We can do both. Meet people where they are and push for where we should be.
Or he takes them on his bike or something. That is evens the playing field. It makes it easier for the woman, right? So allow me to.
I think he has already done justice to it.
All right, then. I guess lastly on that will be, for me, also looking at the empowerment, because that's what I will call it. Using mothers in the community as peer researchers. I see that as empowering them. At the end of this, what did you think that did for them? Because they were part of the study. They were able to gather women to glean this information. They took pictures. They helped you run some of these workshops. Do you think it changed how they saw themselves? Like they are change makers in the community and can help drive some of these changes or recommendations in addressing the gap or dropouts that we're seeing along the immunization journey?
Oh yes. Okay. So one thing that stood out is the fact that when it comes to dropout, the perspective with which we're looking at it was quite obscure, in the sense that we place all of the burden, all of the blame on the caregiver. Meanwhile, it was a shared responsibility between her husband, and the system, right? Because we see it was situations where the woman was ready to vaccinate the child, I mean, she understood all of the processes, but she got to the PSC and the system failed her.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I would
Okay.
answer to that.
All right. Okay. Awesome. And I think with that, we've come to like the last phase of this discussions finally, right? And I'm wondering, if someone important is actually listening to this podcast right now, say a health minister, a donor, or somebody who writes the big check, what's that one thing you want them to hear from this conversation?
All right. What I want you to hear is that the burden of dropout does not lie on the caregiver alone. It's a shared responsibility.
Yeah, the system is involved.
The system has to help the mother fulfill her obligations.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to remove all of those barriers that frustrate our efforts in getting our child vaccinated.
Yeah.
Situation where the PSCs are too far from where she lives, that's a barrier. A situation where she goes to the PSC and she's turned away because she forgot her vaccination card or she even misplaced it.
Yeah.
That's what has to be removed. We also need to, create more awareness about the importance of vaccines.
Yeah.
And I'd also tell people that, the child can have AFI. Let's say it's normal now. And also teach the mothers how to react when the child has AFI to douse the tension. So yeah.
Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, he has covered it, but it's not just a problem. The problem of the caregiver, it's a systemic issue. So let's try to fix it from the system. Let's not just put all the blames on the mother that the mother is not taking the child for the vaccine. So everything that can be fixed in the system, let's try to fix it. The health facility, making it conducive for the mother. We could also orient the healthcare workers too. So we know the pressure on them can be a lot, but try to make these mothers feel welcome when they come. Yes. Okay. So, and also bring, as Ernest has said, bring closer the PHCs to the community. A mother doesn't need to travel distance to get a child vaccinated, and things around that. So, but it's a systemic issue. It's not just a caregiver issue.
Yeah, thanks for that. And just to say that I know that the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency is doing a lot right now to ensure that there is at least a PHC in every ward. I think we already have that. And there's the operation optimizing PHCs and bringing it closer. So that's something that has already been done. And kudos to them because it's not easy. And I'm sure that before we know what's happening, there's a PHC close to you. And maybe, again, if a mother or a father is listening to this right now, somebody who has gone through all of the things we discussed, the delays in the hospital, the mother not having permission, what would you say to them? One thing, what would you say to them?
I would say, Father, please support your wife.
And I
would say, Father, don't let her be doing money chores when she needs to take the child to the facility. She doesn't always need to cook the food in the morning when she has to go to the PHC. So yeah, just support her. It's even more enjoyable when you go with her. And also, acquaint yourselves with the vaccination schedule so you know which vaccines your child is due per time.
Thank you, Ernest. Every man out there, your child, not be only your wife born the child. The wife self na your pikin.
Yes,
the child self na your pikin.
Yes.
Take responsibility for your child, and you'll be so amazed you're doing that. And so maybe, I guess last thing. What are you most hopeful for from all of this? I guess it must have been an intense, research, brought a lot of things to the fore. What are you most hopeful for as we leave?
Okay, I'm hopeful for the fact that this research would contribute to the reduction of measles delayed dropout prevalence. I'm very hopeful that next year we won't be saying the same numbers we are saying. So we are very hopeful that with all this information we've gotten, interventions would also be rolled out. This is to implementing partners too. So as they are rolling out interventions, please, we need measles numbers dropped down. So I'm hopeful that with time, we'll see the changes that come from this.
What are you most hopeful for?
So I'm most hopeful for a better record keeping system at PHCs,
Okay.
right? Because that is going to solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So we are able to identify children who have dropped out, because at the moment we are not able to do that effectively. I'm also hoping that our PHCs are revitalized so that they are more conducive to the mothers to.
That's on the way.
Yes.
That's in progress.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also remove all of those logistic challenges with getting vaccines now to the PHCs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. And there you have it, everyone. It's been an exciting conversation. We've heard some of these issues around permission, women's agency, money, supply side issues. But I mean, as a man, which is where I want to hammer on a bit from what we've heard around the social norms, there's a lot you can do in improving the outcome of immunization or vaccination for your child. And so listen, everyone, here's what I want you to take from this. I wrote this down. When a child doesn't get vaccinated, sometimes it's easy to blame the parents. It's easy to say they don't care or they don't know. But when you actually sit with these families, what you find is a mom who cares deeply but can't get to the clinic because she doesn't have permission, doesn't have transport money, or went last time and was turned away. That's not a parenting failure. That's a systems failure that our guests have also portrayed today. And fixing it starts with doing exactly what they said, what my guests did, which is listening to the voice of the people who are at the field, who are going through these issues, and using all of those insights to continue to drive change in the community. And so thank you both. This was a really important conversation. For everyone listening today, share your comments in the chat box through our website that will be displayed on the screen, or send us an email if you have any other questions. It's been exciting hosting this episode of Noms Lab. See you again next time. I am your host, Angela Lua Ayodele. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.